Yeah, like for example, yesterday when we played, we got through somewhere in the area of 3,000 zombies. Now granted we didn't stop for multiplayer, which is fine. Multiplayer is fun, I enjoy doing it. But like today we're only crossing like 1,000 zombies so far, because a lot of it's just tracking down where those loners are. Versus, you know, yesterday it was just going to the main building, going to war with the whole area. So there's a loner there, let's kill them here in a second. Just want to go over here. I just don't want to get out of the car where I can't see around me. And I need to be watching the radio because we're really getting close to due for another helicopter. I don't know exactly how many days it's been since our last one, but it's been very recent. Like, we're actually at the point we were debating calling it cleared when we hopped off stream. It's just we went and checked a few of the roads up top and saw zombies. Yeah, we're at that point where we're pretty close to call it cleared. Just dealing with like little groups of stragglers like this periodically, which is going to happen for just about ever, because they'll migrate in from other parts. But then the debate we're having is where we're going from here, because the two possibilities I'm debating is one, we just start pushing the west side of Riverside. It's on its default. But the one is we just start pushing the west side of Riverside, like straight out. The other option would be we hit up the warehouse that's on the west end of Riverside and try and clear that area. So that way we have all the tools in the warehouse to fall back on. I probably wouldn't go out of my way to like loot it right now, so much as just get the zombies out of there, so anytime I'm like, oh, the weapon cache is getting kind of low, we just roll by, load up a cart with stuff, and then come back. Actually, the Riverside warehouse might not be a bad move for the next one. And we are slowing down just because a lot of bodies. Actually, let me check the map real fast. There is a building back here. So we'll check these sets of these buildings back here. I'm not going to worry about this loop that's out in the middle of nowhere. But these we'll check. Yeah, factory warehouse. Oh, right. We need to get out of here because gas is a problem soon. So we'll check these buildings out here, and then we're going to turn around and get out of here. Looks like we actually had some migrating in. Because one of the reasons I was like, oh wait, the factory was we could get an antique stove and stop using that fire pit. Where sooner or later we accidentally step in the fire and then we just die by burning ourselves alive. Thought I saw a few more over here. I did, and they have a fireman's axe. How generous. Probably is a few of them that were like in the middle of all those trees in there because they didn't go actually skulking through the entire field because trees are evil. Okay, so yeah, like I said, there's like 4 little buildings out in the golf course area, so I'm just gonna go check those out. After that point, I'm gonna probably consider this area cleared. You know, we fought, what, 6 zombies so far? Driving all through this area. And we ran the sirens the other day and had nothing show up. Okay, we got a bunch more back here from where we've been making... Yeah, we got a bunch back here from all the noise we made the other day. Yeah, this is the area we've actually found some, which is like back in the golf course. Yeah, no, I don't like these roads. They hide zombies. They probably also got drawn here because this is one of the places we towed a car. Okay. Hit the wrong button, it didn't stop as fast as I wanted to. It's okay, we didn't end up killing any with that, we just hurt them. More importantly, hurt a station wagon, which is actually fun. Trying to stay away from the trees as best we can. Normally, yes. When you're dealing with the zombie populations I'm dealing with, you get to a point where there's just really no need for it. But you can find weapons on zombies. But you'll start to notice that the zombies actually will render most loot on themselves, with the exception of like medicine and that. So when I say medicine, I'm talking like beta blockers, vitamins, painkillers, that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, you see this one up ahead who has a duffel bag. This one. In the white. So I know she's going to have a duffel bag because it's showing on her. So if I don't have a duffel bag, I'm definitely going to want to loot her. You can also, when you get a level tailoring, you'll want to rip apart their clothes. So it is worth it. It's just, I'm playing on such ridiculous zombie pops, I just can't loot them. There's just too many. But yeah, generally speaking, unless you're like dealing with overwhelming numbers of zombies, you do want to not necessarily go out of your way to loot every single zombie, but you know, check them from time to time, especially if it looks like they've got a weapon or something worthwhile on them. You know, spear stuff through them, a pipe stuffed through them, katanas, especially meat cleavers, machetes, backpacks of interest. Because especially with like the school bags, the duffel bags, and the large backpacks, there's a good chance you can find stuff like food inside the backpack. Not always, but sometimes. But yeah, this one we're getting pretty close to hitting 19,000 zombies killed, so I keep my inventory open to like walk over the bodies and see if something good that I might overlook is there, but otherwise we don't take the time just because it's too many. There's just too many bodies. Because like when you're lower pops, it's also sometimes worth the time to take bodies near your home, pick them up, walk them away, that kind of stuff. But we also have just too many zombies for that. Group of zombies up here will kill, as well as down there. Yep, it's like this one. You can see that in her leg was the hunting knife, and I want that, so I'll take that. So ignoring the other ones for the most part, but that one I saw that there was a specific item she has that I want, so I'm going to take it. What do you have? You have a kitchen knife, I don't want that. Oh yeah, you can do that. And actually, if you bear with me a moment, I'll show you, once I kill a zombie, I'll show you something that can also help with the performance implications of fighting all the zombies and all that. Yeah, so in your game world settings, you can absolutely sit there and say, okay, make the bodies disappear in like a day or two or whatever. Like, that's definitely one thing that'll help. Another thing that'll help is if you go under options, you'll see here where it says blood decals. Switch that to none. Every time you kill a zombie, it puts a little blood splatter on the ground. They never go away. So if you do have a situation where the game just kind of gradually gets worse and worse performance, it's the blood decals. If you turn them to none, though, no impact. So that can be a way to help out if you're dealing with performance issues. And if you even have like the most amazing computers ever been, I still recommend that setting because they do never go away. So even if you're fine now, if you continue to get your run going more and more and more higher and higher zombie pops, eventually it will, just take down your performance. It's something you have to turn on if you're going to do like ridiculous zombie pops for any real length of time. Or just have really long runs, because like I said, those blood decals stay forever. Technically you can get rid of them by, I think it's using a mop and bleach or something like that. But you'd have to manually do each and every section, so that's just not good. That'd be so beyond tedious. I feel like playing multiplayer where it's, my character is nowhere near. Yep. I believe we'll take it off the walls and all that as well. But where our character was just like so poorly suited and everything because they're just starting, and then going to a character that we've actually started building up quite a bit, it kind of does a good job at making me be a little bit more cautious because I've gone back to being adjusted to when our character doesn't have any skills or anything like that. Versus you can get in the habit of just feeling like a superhero as you get built up and just throwing yourself at stuff you shouldn't. Yep, and one of the other things is the blood decals also, like, if you go, oh, but I don't like them being completely off, I wish they were on, but now they're gone. When you turn it back on, all the blood splatters that were there will just reappear. Real quick. Because I might not be able to go quite as late as I normally do, but we'll see how late we do go. Yep. I mentioned on stream a couple of times before that I do need to figure out my schedule so like I have a day off kind of thing. So, can get stuff done, do all that stuff. Like, on top of that, like, stream prep and improvement kind of stuff. But I haven't figured that out quite as well. So in the meantime, what usually will happen is when stuff comes up, it's like, oh, day whatever, stream will be late or might be late. Or, might have to end early so I can wake up in a reasonable hour. It might end up being one of those things that, tonight's stream wraps up a little early and tomorrow's streams might start a little late. We'll see. I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing so far for the last X number of months, is just saying, nope, stream time. 5 p.m. stream time. Not that I would, like, there's no negotiation on it or anything, just, stream time. Unfortunately, just the way Twitch is, it's almost being consistent and on stream as much as possible is almost... It's not the most important thing, but it is kind of a critical thing if you want to grow, unfortunately. Because the more you're on, the more opportunity people have to find you, the more opportunity you have people to follow you, engage in chat, get involved. And if you're not online, they can't do those things. That's it. I still need to record my intro video, and I still need to record. I want to make like an intermission video. And the idea behind the intermission video is sometimes during the earlier part of the week, while my wife is at work working second shifts, to have dinner in a timely manner, I have to make it since she's not home too. And that ends up being like right in the middle of stream time. Usually takes me 5-10 minutes or whatever. Like usually it's like stepping away 5 minutes twice. So I want to kind of come up with like a 5-10 minute intermission, well probably just 5-minute intermission video that when I step away to do that, I have like a little video that, has some funny moments, some like awesome moments, like whatever from the stream. So there is that. Just needs clipping and all, like needs a bunch of stuff clipped and all that to have something to pull from. But I've been taking the time to try and sit there and keep whatever clips we find. I mean, I keep most clips we find unless it's like out of context, just something I don't want people to like. I haven't had too much, but you know, there's some things that when you hear out of context, like, probably not what I'm looking for. There's no one in there, that's fine. Skay says, hey, question. How make so zombie don't spawn near your base, as I like to make in warehouse? So, the spawn, if you have respawns turned on, and I actually should specify a second, crap. I'm not gonna worry about that thing. So first thing I want to do is say there are two separate mechanics when you're dealing with spawning. There's spawning and respawning. Respawning is the thing that happens forever and ever in the game if you have respawns turned on, where the zombies get replaced as you're killing them. Like, they replace, I believe it's something like 10% of the population every 72 hours, or whatever, for an area. And then there's spawning, which is when you have peak pop that's higher than your initial pop. It's where it's like slowly increasing the population as you go along. And those are two separate mechanics, just for one thing. But ultimately, when it comes down to zombies spawning on the map, both spawn and respawn, there is a thing where zombies will not appear in any chunk you've been in the last 12 in-game hours. So you could increase that time considerably. And then the idea is as you cross those chunks, they're ineligible for a zombie to spawn in them until it's been quite a while since they've done that. And to clarify, a chunk is 10 by 10 tiles, so it's not that big of an area. So you'd have to go through a lot to make sure they just don't spawn there. But if you're moving around in your warehouse, they shouldn't appear there. And then if you're making it a point to like patrol the outside of your warehouse, they shouldn't spawn there particularly often. You should be fine. Now, the other option is just turn off spawning entirely, which the pro and the con there is if you turn off spawning entirely, once you clear an area, it's clear. That's a pro. On the other hand, once you start knocking down the population so it doesn't feel like the world is particularly populated, it can make the game become slow and boring after a while because, you know, they're all dead. Alright, so what I'm going to do is once we get out of here, there is a car we had seen the other day that was pretty good, and back up real fast, though it was pretty good. So we are going to grab that by towing it. I'm also going to take gas and top off our station wagon because the gas is low. I had planned on not being here fighting today, but taking the car back to the gas station to top off because it's low enough. I'm not super worried about it because I do have a gas can in the trunk and I can take gas of that car I was talking about we're going to grab. So I'm not too worried. It could be inconvenient, but whatever. But I will have, like, we are in the point where I'm going to have to return to base, the main base, just because of gas problems. That said, I'm at this point of basically calling the country club clear. Because we're just dealing with stragglers coming out of the trees, and with an entire forest out there, that's going to be a thing going on forever. Yeah, that's another thing, is you can turn down how often the zombies spawn, or how much of them spawn at a time. Like, those are all things you can change to adjust it. Usually with those types of settings, you kind of want to go with the less is more in the sense of make little changes. Don't just immediately jump to big things. Because if you turn them down way too much, you might find yourself in a world that's like, oh, I've effectively turned it to no respawns. Alright, and there's the tennis court. We cleared that yesterday or the day before that. We cleared all this area out. You can see where we had the bodies from the tennis court and as well as some in there. We cleared all this road out. We cleared this back parking lot out. If there's just one zombie here. But yeah. So if you set the frequency of respawn down a lot, as well as its unseen time or something like that, you turn that way up, you could effectively make it so you should see minimal numbers of zombies spawning where you frequent. Like, you might have some tiles you just miss, and like once in a blue moon a zombie spawns there, but it shouldn't be too bad. And I will say, barring if you turn off migration, distribution, and spawn, there's no such thing as a safe place in Project Zomboid. Like, you can be in areas where, like, where you're immediately standing is inaccessible by zombies, but ultimately, however you get in and out of that place is still a danger. But unless you turn off migration, distribution, and respawn, you can't clear an area where a zombie couldn't just randomly wander in. And honestly, late game, those are the zombies that get you. Is like, you'll be out here fighting, doing all this, you'll think everything, you know, you'll be careful, do all that stuff, and then you'll return back to your base thinking, yeah, there's no zombies here. And it'll be like the one zombie who strolls up to you while you're farming who gets you. Yeah, so you see the police car we left to, that we used to get all the zombies. Most of the zombies have despawned at this point. Like, this whole area was just, like, solid with corpses and everything, but it's been enough days now that they're all disappearing. Like, you'll occasionally see the skeleton here and there that shows you that they're basically at their last step of decay. On which not all zombies become a skeleton. Some just, like, actually probably most disappear. Just occasionally you'll see one that just stops to be... Need to slow down. So while running over zombies doesn't wreck your car, it can cause you to lose control, get you airborne, that kind of stuff, which then in turn can cause you to damage your car. So just be careful with bodies. A lot of time I normally take the time to keep them off the road. Just with all these trees on this particular area, I just really didn't want to try and fight anywhere near the trees to keep them off the road. I'd rather just fight them where I know it's safe in the middle of the road and deal with the the negative. So I'm just going down here. There is, I believe, a red coupe that I want to grab. I'm just going to tow it behind our station wagon. Might steal some gas out of it to make sure our station wagon can get home without having to do it in the middle of nowhere. Which wouldn't be, actually, right here. Yeah, should be plenty. Because station wagon's getting low on gas. I should have turned around already to top it off, but we didn't. That's fine. That's the reason I always keep spare gas cans on me anytime I'm going anywhere. With a car. Because, like, for the two different benefits is, like, if I have gas cans on me, I can go and when I see a car that's like, oh, I want that car, I can just chuck a can of gas in it. And I don't even have to come back later to hotwire it. It's just ready to rock and roll for us. Or in the pinch that, you run out of gas somewhere, you've got these gas cans in reserve, so it's like, oh, I didn't watch my gas gauge, we ran out, no problem. Just chuck a can in, and get to the nearest gas station. Kind of like you might do in real life. I think it was this one had the car? Is that right? No. One of these houses had the car. You see mods with armored vehicles, so it depends on the mod. There's some mods I'm sure that you put the big cow plow thing in the front of their truck and it just doesn't get damaged. Like, you know, completely unbalanced mod, you're just do for fun. Which is, again, not a problem. The whole point of the game is to have fun. So if that's your jam, do it. I'm also sure there are ones that, like, make your cars far more durable, but not actually, like, impervious. It could even be the same mod, but it has configuration. Yeah, so we're taking that car, killing these zombies, because again, the idea is we do want this area to be clear. So we're doing it. Okay, I don't really want to cut through this way. It's a bad idea, but I do want to. I've got a generator marked on the map. I feel like we just grab the generator while we're here. Yeah, we've already taken the propane tank out of that one. Because also I'm feeling like we probably aren't going to see hardly any zombies. We've been clearing this area for a long time. So this isn't the safe way for me to do it. The safest way would have been me to drive the station wagon here, back it up near there so I don't have to carry the generator up short range. And the reason why this isn't safe is I'm super overburdened. I have a generator in my hands, which is super heavy. So, like, I can't really defend myself right now. So, like, that, none of that's good news. The generator is technically in our hands at the moment, so I can't even, like I have to put it down before I can pull out a weapon. Okay, so generator will not fit in the back of the station wagon. Thank you for the follow, Skate24. Welcome to the stream. Oh, another pro tip. You see how the seat says only 26 storage? I just put 40 storage worth of generator in there. Seats will let you exceed their storage so long as it's like one item. Like, and so you can use kind of tricks like taking a large backpack that can carry, what is it, like 35, filling it up to the absolute brim, then putting in the seat, and suddenly your seat that's only supposed to carry 20-something is now carrying 35, thus upping the amount it can store. Oh, so the way you can do it okay, sorry. Looks like I'm going to have to do this one first. I'm surprised. I did a one earlier that did not fight me nearly as much as this car is. That's fine. Here, let me fight these zombies. And then I'll show you. So, let's say I've got the generator in my hands. And I have another zombie over here I'll kill. And then we'll climb in the car and we'll put it in the seat. So, give me a moment. So what's a good big or small base for as single player? You can't have a safe. It depends on where you are. So if you look, I had the generator on my so I take the generator. So generator is on my person. So at this point, what I want to do is select one of the seats in my inventory while I'm in the car. Click and drag the generator over. And it'll show as red, but it will take it. But you can put in any of your seats. But as far as bases go, there are bases that are far more defensible than others. So like these metal wrought iron fences, those are indestructible to zombies. So if you can find an area that has a bunch of those around, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Yeah, you're probably just looking in your bag. That's a neat. Like I've done that one before, going, where the hell is my weapon? Oh, I'm looking in the wrong bag. But yeah. So you can do that. And when I say you can never make a base safe, it doesn't mean that your base is always particularly dangerous. It's just, you know, keep a watchful eye. Zombies, no matter how big or small your base, can find their way into the area. You can put up fences and all that, so the zombies have to destroy the fence to get to you. And that's all stuff you can do to, you know, reduce risk, all that kind of stuff. But like, you'll see, I'm heading towards our base. It's going to be a bit of a slow drive because I'm towing stuff and it's kind of sucking. Which is surprising because this car is actually really good horsepower-wise. I'm surprised this is putting up way more of a fight for us to tow than a box fan did. So I don't really get that. But yeah, it's not really a question of big or small, it's how defensible and what population are the area. And I get that's scary, and there's a lot of people said, hey, you know, we want spike traps and nooses, or not nooses, what are they? The things you step in and they pull you up. But either way, you know, they want all these traps and all that. I'm like, all right, but now you're just talking 7 days. Like that's the 7 days gimmick is you get attacked, you need to hook up your defenses. And so it's fine, like, people want to mod and put that in, great. Oh, we get to go slow the whole way, lovely. But, I feel like that's a different feel than they're going for Project Zomboid. It's the same thing like State of Decay, where you can't just put up a whole bunch of spike traps and all that to make, you know, a bunch of defenses. You have guard towers that they exhaust a resource in State of Decay, your munitions, to keep the area clear of zombies nearby. But this game, the idea is you yourself are the one like keeping it safe. Versus like traps are almost a when I say automated, I don't mean like fully automated. They are kind of an automatic thing where if you have your defenses set up, you can just not worry about it. I think part of the point of Project Zomboid is that it never truly is safe. You never truly can go, okay, I can just run through here without any consideration of well-being. Like, the whole point of the story is this is how you died. Death is coming. You'll get there. But maybe it's not here yet. So I think they have like a very specific ambience they're going. Now granted, that's what mods are for. If you want something in the game, grab a mod. Good chance someone wants it as well and they've made a mod for it. If not, maybe you can find someone to make the mod or make the mod yourself. The modding community is pretty solid, and honestly most things I've heard about people wanting, they've just done. And I know we're driving super duper slow, and I'm sorry about it, but that is because we are towing this car, and for whatever reason this car seems to be much harder to tow than the box van. Item respawn works. So the thing with item respawn is it's off by default. You can choose, I think, actually I think it's off by default both in single and multiplayer, but you can choose to turn it on. Generally speaking, in single player, I want to say I don't believe there's a handbrake, at least not that I've ever been made familiar with. Here's a question. I want to test something. I'm seeing if I start it, if it makes any difference. Yeah, so last time we got up to second gear and then started to slow down. Yeah, so we're losing speed now. That's what I was checking. But yeah, I'm not familiar with there being like any kind of handbrake in this game or anything that I've heard of. Towing is just kind of funky. It is one of the things I wish they would work on, because it does seem kind of jank. But there's a lot of things that can contribute, like if your tires are underflated, they can be a problem. Forrest says, I can't survive on vanilla apocalypse. Do you have any tips on what configurations in the sandbox I can do to get used to? You do have the choice of like survival mode, which has multi-hit turned on. And that totally changed the entire feel of the game is when multi-hit's on. Looks like towing from the back goes faster when I do it. I think certain cars it does, because I have had cars that I towed it from behind and it went really fast, and I have had cars that I tow it from the behind and it sucks. I don't know, that's maybe just entirely like placebo effect of just, or like a confirmation bias kind of thing where, you know, we're just looking at going, oh, you know, it doesn't matter, or maybe this car's different. It's fine. But as far as first going, things you can do to adjust, like I said, there is survival mode. You can also just go into base apocalypse mode and go, okay, well, what happens if I, like, just take the population from normal to low, or maybe turn down the peak population? I assume you're dying to zombies. If you are new to the game, do understand you are going to die a lot, just kind of learning how to fight, how to do the mechanics of the game. That is kind of just the way the game is, unfortunately, and pretty much the only way to learn is to not beat your head on the wall, but to kind of fight with the game and accept the fact that you're going to die. But a lot of Project Zomboid Survival is more, not planning ahead is too strong a word, but more having a plan in your situation in case things go wrong. So like when you go into a place, one of the rules I kind of have for myself is always have an exit. If I'm going into a house that I'm not sure about the situation for some reason, I might open an extra window or something, where if things go south real fast, and I can't get through the front door again, I have another way out. You can also just go and, like, you'll learn certain things to reduce your risk. Like, okay, you want to go in and loot a house? Well, rather than just going and looting the house, take the time to carefully clear the zombies out from around the house, then go into the house. Because now the zombies can't spot you while you're skulking around inside the house, so you don't have to worry about some horde just coming through all the windows and doors at you. Let's test if turning the CR side... Let's test if I turn it around if it makes a difference. It shouldn't. But I'm, you know, I'm down to test stuff. I canceled too early. Can you tow from the front bumper and drive backwards? Not that I'm aware of. It'd be a weird thing for them to implement. Yeah, same thing. Like, we got into second gear and then we just didn't have enough torque. Let's see if 20 takes us to second gear. No, it does. I think it's whichever car you drive will be the one that it knows to tow. Like, if I hop in the other car, I can just tow it as well. If I do hop in the other car and it's facing the same way, I'll just run into this car. Sorry about that. But, so other things you can do to survive. And I haven't done it the stream, so let me show it. As I mentioned earlier, turn off your blood decals. If you're having any type of performance issues, this can help. Another one is, I believe this is already set to this now, but turn up your ISO cursor visibility to 50 or 75%, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. Some people like show mouse cursor while aiming. That can make it easier to keep track of your mouse. But the big one here is change ranged weapons for your aim outline to any weapon. So aim outline, any weapon. What that means is when you get a zombie in range, you'll get a green outline when you have your weapon up, so you know what zombie you're going to hit and that they're in range. The ISO cursor, which I apparently cannot show while driving. So if we look here, you see that little circle with a line on it? That's my ISO cursor. That's where I'm aiming. That's very important to keep track of that. So you want that to be as visible as you possibly can. So there's some default settings I'd change. Another pro tip for survival is slow down. It's not a race. You do not need to run 99% of the time. Like, take your time. Chill. This game, as much as you think of like Zombie Apocalypse as being this intense thing, is a very slow and methodical game on how you do a lot of stuff. Yeah, you'll see me like just smashing through hundreds of zombies, all that kind of stuff. But you notice the whole time I'm never running. I'm trying to take the time to line them up, and then I've only gotten this aggressive once I started getting my skills up to the point where they're getting like 5 and 6, and my nimble's at 4, and stuff like that. Like, my character's getting like properly juiced at this point, so I can get away with a lot of stuff that if I tried on a character that doesn't have this kind of skill set, I would just get grabbed and killed. Like, having nimble in this game is extremely powerful, because the zombies, just because they start the grab animation doesn't mean you're going to get grabbed. You can kind of just scooch out of their range real fast if you have enough nimble. I'm trying to not deal with zombies right now because it's really dark, we're tired. Which brings me to the next thing is pay attention to your moodles, these things up here. The redder they get, the worse they are, and most of the moodles do not play nice. Like the exertion moodle, which I don't have at the moment, we're not talking like a 5 or 10% penalty to damage. You're talking like a 20-30% penalty to damage. It is a very, very significant penalty. And each tier more exerted you get, the worse it gets. Tired slows you down, so that's bad. It also slows down your rate of stamina recovery. So one of the vicious feedback loops you'll get in this game is once you start getting tired and you're in a fight and you're getting exerted, because you're exerted, you're swinging more, which makes you more exerted. You're also tired, and when you swing, you get more tired, which penalizes your regeneration of stamina as well. So very quickly, you go from things are okay to things are getting really, really bad very quickly. And the reason why I'm saying slow down is running uses a lot of stamina. Like, a lot of stamina. Like, my character just running around the block probably puts them into moderate, if not high exertion. You know, till they get some fitness up and their running skill up. So if you're running between building to building and then you run to a horde of zombies, you're already half ready to go exerted by the time you start the fight. Which means when you start the fight, you almost immediately go into taking 30 times or 30% less damage you're dealing. So take your time, walk between buildings. Keep in mind that you walk faster than the zombies, so if ever you go, oh, there's 20 zombies, I'm not ready, just turn around, walk away. Walking away is the answer for a lot of this game's problems. Don't need loot in the house? Don't go in the house. Don't need books? Don't go to the bookstore. Have a working car? Have a spare? well, you don't have to go to your way to fight into an area there's going to be a bunch of cars. So it is risk management there. If you are trying to get better at combat, there's a mode called the Accumulator. It's based just in the game. That's basically like a King of the Hill that as you kill zombies and you finish waves, it gives you points. You use those points and you exchange them for weapons. So if you're just trying to force yourself to get a little bit better at combat and you don't want to have all the risk involved, no problem. All you do is just go to the Accumulator, fight some zombies, rinse and repeat, figure out how to fight groups. That way when you die, it's like you've lost 10-15 minutes worth of effort versus, you know, when you die in the game and you've put 20, 30, 40, 50 hours into a character, it really hurts. But just kind of accept the fact that death is a core function of the game. You're supposed to die. You're just trying to delay that. And I will say, like, you know, there are people who like, oh, but I never want to die. Like, dying's no fun. And understandable. In that case, you can change your settings, certainly. You might have difficulty having enjoyable long runs in Project Zomboid, though. Not unless you're, like, really into the base building. And the reason I say that is, if you can't realistically die with, like, penalties and all that, then ultimately what happens is you quote-unquote finish your character as much as you're willing to go, so far as the grind. And then the game suddenly becomes like, oh, there's just nothing to do, there's nothing here. Like, there's endgame in the game, but it's not much of it. Because the idea is you are supposed to struggle, get off your feet, get moving, you know, fight the zombies, and then once you're established and everything's effectively safe, you're like, what do I do now? Well, I don't know, make a new challenge for yourself? Don't die? It's pretty much what's left. That's part of the reason I'm doing this ridiculous kill zombie challenge, is it keeps a milestone or a benchmark, whatever you want to call it, for me to work on. Because in the past, when I finished like the challenging part of a run, it'd be like, oh well, I've done it, so I guess, like, you know, there's not more for me to do. Because like we did the really CDDA challenge, which is one of the big challenges people do in the game. But what ends up happening is, like, okay, the difficult part is surviving through the winter. Once you've survived through the winter, it gets easy from there. Like, there's the hard part's over. Yeah, so like the really CDDA challenge, we actually have a character in that we've just basically abandoned. Like, we might come back to them someday. Because we survived the entire winter, it's like, okay, well now it's just not hard. Now it's like a fairly normal run. Whereas this one will stay difficult for longer. Which is kind of why I like it. Even though it is an absolute slog and a meat grinder, this is not... Like, this is the kind of challenge I'm like, this is not for everyone. Not because, like, oh, you know, it's too hard for people or anything like that. No, it's just, it's a meat grinder, and a lot of people wouldn't find that entertaining, and that's, you know, fair enough. But I do hope everyone has been enjoying the stream. And thank you for everyone who has been tuning in, lurking, chatting, following, subscribing, doing the bits, the donuts, the hosts, the raids, all that good stuff. It all helps and I really do appreciate it. I do know for a lot of people who tune in and they only catch me on Fridays and that today's format was quite a bit different than you're used to. Understandable. Usually I do multiplayer on Tuesdays and occasionally on Saturdays. Things got moved around quite a bit this week though, so you know, it is what it is. I don't think anything's wrong with that. We'll leave the jack in the car, grab the garbage bag, grab this. I don't know what I'm doing with the tarp. That's fine. Okay, and how are you doing, generator? You're fine. But the good news is we got a car battery charger. So if we were ever to accidentally or, you know, be forced away from one of the cars that we set off all the sirens and all that kind of stuff on, I can just put on the battery charger and we're good to go. Right now I'm just gonna chuck them in there and later up, like I've been putting stuff on top to markers like this is the car parts one, this is the tools one, this is the this one. But we'll deal with that later. Okay, we're getting pretty close to due for a helicopter.